We're still trapped inside the Lighthouse Lunacy. Hello there guys, it should be part 19 now. We're on Act 3. We are still trapped in the lighthouse, but we're not quite so trapped within failing arguments, because at this point we're starting to make some headway, if you couldn't tell by Victoria's sweating here. We've just asked for some tests to be performed, and we're going to see how correct Victoria is. For once it's her who's asking for tests to be done. Well, let them know how correct I am. What are you trying to accomplish with this? Just put her out of her misery. I performed an appropriate check of the defendant's body as per her insistence. A key was found inside her. There you go. Now let's... No. I must have missed it. Let's move on to something more productive. As I said, what in the world are you trying to accomplish? Aurelia Chase. There's a metallic key-shaped object present in your gastrointestinal tract. I doubt anyone will believe you feigning ignorance now. What's your goal? What are you... This isn't the time for jokes. Did Victoria tell you to say that? I never joke, Aurelia Chase. The one that needs to stop joking around is objectively you. This has got to be a lie. Wonderful. The fool has finally gained some self-awareness. Well, as with every time we've been getting the upper hand in this trial, it was never going to last for that long, unfortunately. It's not time for Turnabout yet. What a befitting face, Aurelia. Remain like that for a while, if you would.
One moment, please. Am I hearing this right? Miss Chase actually ate the key.
I didn't. This is some kind of... This is made up. Check me again, Dr. Hellinger. You assume I wouldn't already have double-checked this? I can show you the images if you want. A key-shaped object wouldn't turn up on them by mistake. But what the hell does that mean? I will assist you in the slower observers. It naturally means I was correct about you hiding the key. Res ipsa loquitur. The evidence speaks for itself. Only a guilty mind would take that course of action. We technically haven't yet determined if the object is the key we were looking for. You truly never stop being so tedious and precise. It is the right key this time, guaranteed. There's only one way to know with certainty. The key must be tested on the study door.
It does not look like we are in any position to do that right now.
That might be true at the moment, John. But time will change that. Do I even want to know what you're getting at? What goes in will eventually come back out. Please don't make me clarify more than necessary. Oh, a truly suitable final destination for you and your asinine arguments. Certainly, we must ensure the key fits the lock, so even the average observer is satisfied. Lead the way, Aurelia. To the bathroom. Hard pass, and you're definitely not coming. The struggle is only becoming more futile. We have no other choice to confirm the evidence. We naturally cannot leave you unobserved, or who knows what may happen to that key.
I regret to say it, Miss Chase, but it seems this has to happen in some form.
Let me take care of this. There's no need for Victoria Preston's presence. It will take longer if there are any factors present that make the defendant less comfortable. As if we haven't been quite considerate enough.
Very well. The court will leave the procurement of this evidence to Hellinger.
Was there any point where she was unconscious at all? She didn't, like, sleep for any reason or anything, did she? It's the only thing I can think of at this point. I mean, we haven't been to the toilet this entire time, so... If anyone is in possession of something that may speed up the process, please inform me. Does anyone happen to have some Vindaloo on them? I was dragged to the bathroom despite my protests. What followed was one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. The silver lining was that it gave me time to think about this ridiculous development. One thing is incredibly clear now. I refuse to fully accept it before. I'm being set up. Someone out there wants to really see me go down for this crime. No matter how hard I think about this, I can't make heads or tails of it. I've rarely felt so violated. This key somehow found its way into my body without my knowledge. Everyone has gone insane. That's the only explanation I can think of. That's why Mrs. Holden attacked me. I guess Lillian really killed Mr. Guard. I mean, got in without her knowledge. Lillian can pause time. She doesn't necessarily have to let someone else be with her, does she? You know. That's the only thing I think of right now, unless there's a point in time in which she went asleep or unconscious that I forgot about. And I swallowed this key and then forgot about it. Woohoo! This tower is turning us all into lunatics. I'd better figure out how to think straight again soon. Else there'll be no way for me to claw my way out of this pit. "4:44 a.m. Now, if you know anything about Japanese or ill omens, then 4 is very unlucky because the pronunciation of 4, well, one of the possible pronunciations is sheep, which would also mean death. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but you know, interesting to think about. We've already had 2 deaths. I wouldn't put it past this case to throw another crime on us. Someone murdered Cove probably before we're about to get him to testify.
Court is back in session. I was informed that we have the evidence now.
Correct. The key had been retrieved more or less without incident.
Very good. Did you confirm it to be the key to the study?
Yes. Oh, so it does look a little different. I tried it on the door of our crime scene. The key was able to unlock it. Note, despite its old-fashioned look, this key contains a microchip. This all but guarantees it is unique. Duplicating it would prove impossible. It's similar to modern car keys. Simply copying the shape would not be sufficient.
Well, that makes things simple. The squad accepts this key into evidence.
It's the last place I was expecting to find this. So it's impossible to create a copy. This key is what I assume is for the cabinet that a knife was found in.
And with that, it appears to be proven that Miss Chase actively tried to cover up her crime.
I know this looks really, really bad, Your Honor, but is it enough to completely ignore the second murder after all I've shown? Hope is the confusion, desire for a thing with its probability. Dr. Hellinger, you may present the other piece of evidence now. No testimony understood, just the evidence. Well, this was objectively overdue. There can't still be more. This isn't really a new piece of evidence. Rather, it's a clarification for my report regarding Mr. Guard's crime scene. You've been happily circulating theories of an unknown poison in the display case after all. I did warn you this haphazard approach of yours was going to backfire sooner or later. On this account, I submit this clarified autopsy report to the court. It categorically rules out the presence of any unknown substances on the display case. How exactly did you do that? So we'll just double check for anything else that might have been updated. We have the time of death now, which was April 5th, 050 to 105. This time of death is April 4th, 6 to 7. So, gunshot wound in the throat, horizontal angle of entry, bullet damage trachea causing blood into the airways. This all looks the same. Subject wore bulletproof vest, which is hit by 4 bullets. All 5 bullets are a match to the 99% match. Clothes and bruises indicate a struggle. No other traces found on the case. So the only possibility is She cut her finger on the glass, and the poison was somewhere else that she touched. Maybe even on the gavel itself. But it's the kind of poison that only comes into effect when it mixes with your blood, not just when you touch it.
But then, the basis for the poison hypothesis has been completely disproven.
How can you do this? This poison wouldn't be in your database. The whole point is that you're not able to detect it. Even an unknown poison can't ignore the laws of physics. Regardless of its composition, it has to actually exist as a physical matter. A dead body is one thing. It's hard to divide the individual components for an analysis. On a smooth surface like the glass of a display case, however, it's easy to determine if there is anything at all identifiable or not. Of course, I analysed this one quite thoroughly, given the presence of Melanie Holden's blood. Therefore, I can be as good as certain that no unknown substances were present. Be quiet now. I said no testimony. Are you actually serious? Victoria!
It seems that's it for the defendant's argument. Still, Miss Preston, why didn't you present this fact when we first started talking about all this?
I don't expect the court would entertain her asinine idea for such an extended period of time. Unfortunately, it was too late by the time I realised I put too much faith into it. I did uncover a new lead about these two unsolved cases, did I not? It arguably wasn't entirely worthless. I solved those, no thanks to you. How about you just admit you always have to hide evidence instead of playing fair? I have a superior suggestion, Aurelia. Stop basing your theories on possibilities you have absolutely no supporting evidence for. Your archaic approach is the true reason you always end up back exactly where you began. Almost like I literally have no other option in this scenario. So I've just been flung into this right after all these crimes have happened. God damn it. I had to put my brain on complete overdrive to solve those past cases and fit it all together. It actually looked like I was going somewhere by the end, even if it seemed like a long shot at first. And now the way out of this trial, the reward I worked so hard for, slipped through my fingers again. Screw you for doing this. This was bound to be your reaction once I started putting in a moderate amount of effort. You simply have no choice but to hate me, because I'm right about everything, and you're not. Not really. I just hate you in general.
Please remain civil, both of you.
It's quite alright. There's nothing offensive about the final whimpers of a lost mind. I will allow myself to put her out of her misery and deliver the checkmate. Listen and observe closely. You may not deserve it, but I shall still graciously sing this requiem to you. Amor intellectualis. After a single gunshot was heard, people immediately rushed to the source. The source was a locked room. The only key was inside, so the door had to be broken down. Inside, we found a gunshot victim and the defendant, gun in hand. The door is the only viable entrance and exit to the room. Therefore, nobody else could have committed this crime. Why would she swallow the key, though? I guess, you know, to make it look like this whole thing had happened, but that's... even that is such a long shot, really. Like... Didn't we already do this? You ignorantly dismissed my initial reasoning as inconclusive because the key hadn't been found yet. The location of this key has now been exposed by yours truly. You will observe that this removes any perceived flaw in my argument. I was completely right from the very beginning. All these redundant testimonies and arduous debates managed to change precisely nothing. Or did they? At the very least, this should make for an elegant bookend. This trial will serve as a presentable allegory in the future. Of course, it always has to be about you being right. Then you will have no issue letting me put this argue to the test again. What a shame. I permitted you to go on this journey, but you haven't learned anything. Even my generosity is finite. I have no patience remaining to keep playing with you. Any amateur should be able to identify this as forced mate, no matter your mood. So we've gone all the way back to square one? You've got to be kidding. I've lost all my cards and I'm once again stuck with no way out. There has to be something in all the things I learned during this trial. I just have to keep thinking. Something. Anything that can blow a new hole in this case. Was there really only one gunshot though? Mr. Poley begs to differ. And thanks to the TV, we can't even be sure if the first gunshot was the real thing. We've been over why Mr. Poley's experiences are entirely irrelevant to this murder. Given our investigation of the lower floor, it's doubtful what he witnessed was real. The TV can thus be trivially dismissed with logic. The victim was shot while inside the study. And such a shot should have been audible, don't you think? That's speculative. I mean, the bullet could have been launched some other way. Do you recall what rifle marks are? That bullet definitely originated from your gun. And nothing beside a gun could propel a bullet with sufficient force to pierce the ribcage. Quod erat demonstrandum. It's time to stop evading the undeniable truth. Clearly, whoever is behind us is willing to go to quite some lengths to set that they have somehow acquired a pre-fired bullet and swapped it with the one found. I don't see how. I've never actually fired this gun before, and it weighs enough to notice if it was stolen. I've never left it behind at home either. It's pretty much always been with me since I bought it. Which means I must have shot the victim after all. And yet... There are two things we need to talk about here before you can go and conclude that. Firstly, was the door really locked? And secondly, how can you be so sure the key was in the room at that time? You're evidently choosing quantity over quality now. Unlike last time, we now have witness testimony establishing that no one else approached the door. I mean, even if the door wasn't locked, the room remains inaccessible all the same. We haven't had an opportunity to bring up these holes yet. I want to point that out. Still, the door was definitely locked. The witnesses confirmed that as well, given they had to break it open. Which means one of two people must have locked the door, the victim or you. Could the witnesses have known for sure, though? If Mrs. Holden put it like a door stopper on the inside or something, they might have just assumed it was locked. How tedious. Will I have to remind you of all the evidence? Observe the record. Recall what Mr. Nelm had to say about this matter.
Now listen here, I know a thing or two about busting doors. There's a bit of an initial resistance, but they swing open fast after you overcome it. This door was no different.
That should have ruled out your asinine door stopper. And more importantly, the door was found to be in a locked state. Its frame was damaged in a manner consistent with a locked door being broken. Which means your next claim, that the door was, somehow, locked after being broken down, is preemptively ruled out. How did you know I was going to claim that? In-games become increasingly predictable, especially if your opponent is out of pieces. It's consequently trivial for me to administer a prophylaxis to your chicaneries. Fine, but what if? Oh, but what if the door was locked by the witness who checked it first? Pathetic. You claim Mr. Dow would have been able to do that? With Mr. Nelland right next to her, and everyone else arriving behind? Naturally. They're all in on the conspiracy, is that it? It had to have been Melanie herself. How else would the door get locked? At least let me make the point before you make fun of it. All of these arguments are made in pure vain in any case. You swallowed this key after all, and there's only one possible motivation for that. You wanted us to think the room was locked by someone from the outside, because you are guilty. I'd not eat that key. I suppose you have no choice but to claim that, as futile as it is. I would now expect to believe that Mr. Nelland reached your throat and reached into your throat and threw in the key. He may appear capable of it, but it is hardly plausible that you would have been unaware of the fact. If you had that happen to you and were innocent, you would not have concealed it for this long. Accept it. You have no rational excuse left. That's... I know what it looks like, but... Can't do it. I can't think of a way to argue against it. And the judge doesn't look like he'll give me any more leeway. Assumed gunshot victim if we're being technical. Mrs. Hold'em was lying face down like in this photo, so no gunshot was immediately visible. You think you can turn this into a Type 7 lockdown? Should I take this as an admission of mental bankruptcy? Even with the victim face down, her death was immediately confirmed. The one to approach the body first was the plaintiff. I see. You are still hoping you can frame her as the culprit to invalidate this trial. However, my client never touched your gun. It was handed over to Dr. Hellinger by Mr. Nelland. Mr. Nelland also immediately confirmed that one bullet was already missing. It's true Dr. Hellinger fired the gun to obtain a bullet and comparable ballistic markings. However, this was naturally done under observation, and there was no chance to bullet the victim. There's no opportunity for your gun to be fired at the victim after the door was broken down. Since it was definitely fired before that, only one person could have done it, after all. You really insist that there was no other opening in the room. If you are trying to draw attention to the ventilation shaft again, I recommend resigning. We have established that this cover wasn't removed. No relevant object could have passed through. What if that wasn't what I was actually getting at? I should plainly try to find a discovered secret passage, which certainly would almost be as delusional as you ever think you stood a chance of winning. It's now or never. I'd say there's something else you've overlooked, or conveniently dismissed. Or do these holes in the floor not look like an opening in the room to you?
There are holes in the floor. I wasn't aware of this.
You had to try revealing the last irrelevant fact you still had. You're beyond desperate. Even if they weren't already filled up, those holes don't go anywhere. There is no opening to speak of. It's still a suspicious fact about the room. The human skull on the bookshelf is suspicious as well. That does not make it relevant. Please enlighten us with what you are thinking. How could these holes possibly change anything about the crime? Maybe there was a gun hidden inside the floor. No, wait. Holes themselves were designed to be guns. Like, what if somebody put a small explosive into these holes and then puts a bullet on top of it? The bullet would then fire upwards once the explosive gets detonated. And this wondrous device was constructed in exactly the right spot. How exactly? Because for this to work, the victim would have to collapse beforehand. In precisely the spot where one of these holes was prepared. That's why there were two holes. Not if she fell forward or backward. How would anybody have guaranteed the victim would position herself precisely in that spot? Well, maybe that was important for the victim's plan to be. On second thought, I have had my ears tortured by enough of this nonsense. There's a much simpler reason why your theory fails. You should be able to understand it with your IQ. These holes were fixed up. They weren't actually there. You can't know if that was already true at the time of the crime. And tell me, if there were still actual holes in the floor where the crime happened, who would have been able to cover them up later? Keep in mind it would have had to happen before Dr. Hellinger began her proper investigation. If the holes hadn't been covered by that time, they definitely would have been found. Anyone trying to do this after the crime would certainly have been seen by other observers. Which means that they must have already been fixed before.
It does seem a little suspicious. Why would there be holes there?
Remember what we know about the man who used to occupy the study. It is highly plausible they were caused by an earlier incident. The man was not above setting up nonsense that could have involved these. No matter the cause, it is clearly transpired before this crime. It cannot bear any relevance now.
Right, I suppose that makes sense.
There goes my hope for a trump card. Damn. If I can't prove when these holes got plugged, or how someone could have plugged them after the crime, I can't argue they're relevant. No openings left then. Is that it? Why didn't the people who went down to that lower floor all just stay together? That's just occurred to me. Why did they split up into pairs? It's such a bad idea. That would only be true if the gunshot was the actual cause of death. My goodness. We still haven't moved on for any asinine poison argument. We are past considering that. You've technically not disproven it as the cause of death, only its presence on the display case. Surely you would expect us to simply accept that an unknown poison was present in some other unknown location. Only draw this weapon if you're prepared to kill. No. A faint amount of her blood was found on the handle. If poison was applied to the handle for the knife of someone who was prepared to kill.
Indeed, if you want to insist on this theory, where did the poison come from?
Well, the victim didn't only touch the display case. There are some other auction items which could have... Auction items which were already thoroughly checked twice by the hunter. That the poison could have been wiped off by someone afterwards, so it wouldn't be found.
This is too vague and speculative for my liking, Miss Chase. If you have any more concrete suggestions, preferably backed by the evidence...
No. Give me some time to reconsider you. He definitely was more lenient before this key was discovered.
I've heard enough! Both sides presented their arguments. Miss Chase, it seems all the alternatives you're suggesting are easily dismissible. None of them could shake the fact that the plaintiff's case is, frankly, overwhelming. The key appears to be decisive proof of your guilt all by itself. If you have any plausible explanations for this, now would be the time for it.
Nothing. I had to resort to every theory I could think of. There's just no way to break her case. Give me a minute here. Only 3 ways this game can end. I will win by either checkmate, resignation, or you running out of time. So take all the time you need. I'm quite aware you're on the slower side. Obvious stalling is obvious. Folks, she literally ate the key. Just book her already. That judge is being way too patient. Probably got paid off. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Do you hear that? The average observers have opened their eyes and their minds to the truth. We're only waiting on you now, Aurelia. No. I refuse. I refuse to accept it. This key. It's all because of that blasted key. Everything in this world has a rational explanation, but this won't be the exception. I'm one of the queens of crime. I can figure this out. At first glance, it may look like the key teleported into my body. But using logic, it simply means it will slip past my notice somehow. Yeah, it's basically just in the Did she eat some of the cake? Because that's the only thing I can think of as a way for it to get into her body. We haven't used this cake yet. Yeah, it's basically just another locked room situation, with me as the main guard. And while we're talking about locked rooms, this key is also intrinsically linked to our crime scene. It's the only key that could have locked the door to the study. This link is important. There's something I can deduce from this. Did the key enter my body before or after the door was locked? I should narrow down the time frame. One of these events must have logically happened before the other. The door to the study was locked. The key was inserted into my body. The door to the study was... No. It says it's impossible to create a coffin. What if she just had 2 keys made? Like, I need 2 keys for this. It's like, you can have a car key where you can't just like make a copy of the key, like the mold, and you still need an electronic element to it. But you can have 2 car keys for the same car. That's what I'm thinking. Right? So I'm thinking, if she ate the cake before she even got to the tower, the key was inserted into somebody first. Was the key placed in somebody first? Wait, but if that happened, then something does not happen. Let me think that over again. Oh no, it is the door to the study as well. The moment the key gets inside my stomach, it obviously can no longer be used on any doors. The study door was found in a locked state well before the key was retrieved. It follows that the key must have entered my body only after it was used to lock the door. The timeline goes like this. I enter the room, the victim enters the room, the door gets locked at some point. That established, the next important step is the door being busted open. It was impossible to enter or leave the study before this happened. With that in mind, did the key get planted in me before or after the door got broken? If she ate the cake before, it would have to be before. If it happened before the door was broken, then I mean I was still stuck inside the room. That leaves only one suspect, Miss Holden. But I can't think of any way she could have done it. I was wary of her for the whole confrontation. There's no clear opportunity here. This might not be the right path to take. No? Maybe I'm wrong and it's not the cake one. After all of this. No matter which side the door is locked from, the key is stuck on that side until the door is broken. I'm forgetting when she ate the cake. I thought it was before they got in the tower. So, if they wanted to insert the key before the door got broken, it would have to be inside the room. This would require Mrs. Holden to get that key into my mouth and make me swallow it. I don't see how she could have done that while I was on the defensive with my gun hold. The door must therefore have been locked from the outside. And the key was planted in me after breaking the door. Good to have our bases covered, but the tough part begins here. Because this implies that somebody managed to smuggle this key into my mouth during these investigations and trials somehow. The one who can freeze time. I wasn't really feeling like eating anything after the crime, so I'm fairly positive I didn't willingly put anything into my mouth. And it just sounds too ridiculous that anyone could make me stealthily swallow something. I pretty much have to fall unconscious or asleep for someone to do this. Did I? Well, I may have been a little out of it right after the crime. But surely there's no way I actually passed out without noticing. Even if that somehow happened, you'd have to be alone and able to get pretty close to it. The trial is out of the question for that. Too many people were watching now. Was there anyone else ever left completely alone during the investigations? Yeah, this might be a problem. The only one I was alone with for any significant amount of time was Lily. She obviously wouldn't do this. Not that I see how she'd have been able to. Nope. As I've rooted there, and there's no opportunity to after the crime is committed. Let's backtrack. I thought my logic was solid, but I must have made a wrong assumption somehow. Which of these assumptions should be reconsidered? Add to this. Can't think of any decent opportunity to plant the key after the crime. Therefore, the assumption that was actually happened at that time must be wrong. Which is what I first thought. Sorry Lillian, I wasn't actually thinking of accusing you first, I was thinking of accusing him first. Of planting the key in there. That's right, consider the bigger picture. What if it actually happened at an earlier point? This directly contradicts my previous logic though. But, yeah, it's hard enough to think of a way this key got planted. Even without considering those other factors. There might be some trick to lock the door without the key, or something. Let's ignore that for now and just focus on the big problem. Is there any opportunity to insert the key through my mouth before the murder? Yes, there should have been someone with a chance to do it. I need to search my memory, recall everything that happened leading up to the crime. This person had a chance to secretly plant the key in my mind. And this is what they used to accomplish it. Yes. Yes! I found it. One way it could have happened. This cake. The Cova Strawberry Crisis. I bought this from Mr. Cova before we entered the tower. This key was very small. It would have been possible to hide it inside. So when I ate that cake, it travelled into my body alongside it. This is... Whoa. I didn't know it would be like this. I only want to defend myself. Is that wrong? I want to indulge. I want to soothe these thoughts. Only my mistakes ever get documented. Why can't my efforts ever pay off? Do I deserve to be hated that much? Why do you have to hunt after me? I get it. I'm trying to mend. All of you keep getting in the way. I want to step forward, but the door remains closed. Maybe it did serve you right. Who cares at this point? I deserve that much after what I've been through. I wanted to move far away from all this. How do I get rid of this noise in my head? See? I'm not the only one. This hole can't be filled before the filth is removed. Do I not deserve to know what happened? Are you telling me I should have known? This didn't happen because of me. You could have brought this and spared me the pain. What? Who? When? Why? How? I will never meet your expectations. Can't you notice already? Not every truth needs to be revealed. Don't tell me otherwise. You didn't have to do this. I would have left you alone. I get what you're trying to do, but it didn't have to come at my expense. Why did you have to be here on top of everything else? Stay out of my business. Did he already find them? You can't blame me for this as well. Don't think about him. Do not think about him. And this is flashing through everything, right? I just want to check. I think that is all the profiles we currently have. And each one of those is the evidence we currently have. Very nice effect. We're up to... This tower should have been torn down. What were you thinking? I've been able to make up for so much with this kind of money. Why can't it be me? What does everyone else manage to find what they're looking for? Why can't I be that carefree? It's unfair. This is useless nonsense. The key was inside the cake? How the hell is that supposed to help? How could he have predicted I'd even buy that cake? I could have bought cookies or nothing at all. And how is hiding the key inside actually supposed to help? It's not like I swallowed the cake whole. I obviously chewed it. The key might be small, but it's still a hard piece of metal. Anyone would have noticed if they bit on something like that. No chance I would have. This is the only thing that could have made sense. And it still makes no sense. I'm left with absolutely nothing. No. What am I thinking? This just means I'm still making too many assumptions. I need to think much bigger and I'll start making sense. What should these silly preconceptions do I get rid of? No magic was involved. I can trust my memory. This is reality. We're talking about preconceptions here. We're talking about... I mean, no magic was involved would be the laws of reality. I can trust my memory and this is reality would be unreliable narrator. I kind of want to try all of these to be honest, but no magic was involved? You know what? Forget it. I should just get rid of all of them. I already know Lillian can stop time with her magical pendant. As far as I know, that power shouldn't be able to accomplish this. But who's to say that there's no better version out there? And hey, Maybe my memory is just straight up wrong. I've started talking to myself. This thing has probably driven me insane after all. Or maybe Mr. Coover actually mixed some secret ingredient in that cake and I'm just tripping balls. No, I couldn't know. None of this is real. Simulation theory. This key is a glitch in the matrix, or an intentional feature. There is no solution to this. Whoever is writing this story straight up forgot to think of one. The bigger picture, it doesn't exist. Everything is slipping through my fingers. 5, 8, 4, 9, 4, We've got a slither left.
Miss Chase! We're still waiting. How do you explain the fact that you swallowed this key?
I didn't, Your Honor. I have no recollection of eating it.
Would you care to elaborate how that makes any sense?
I'm being framed.
I'm afraid it's hardly sufficient explanation.
Aurelia has finally understood she's run out of justifications. Amateurs tend to take longer to realise when they're in a grave situation. But you're aware of it now, aren't you, Aurelia? You're out of moves that would allow you to avoid this fate. I have categorically entrapped you inside my mating net. I'm not sure what to tell you. I didn't eat that key. Still working on the explanation. You're wasting your scarce mental capabilities, and I think you know. The key could not have been in your body before you entered this building. Otherwise, the metal detector at the entrance would have activated. Oh, yeah. When did I forgot when she ate the cake exactly. I thought she just bought it. Scanned at some point. It could not have been put in your body during the auction, else the door could not have locked. There was no way to feed you this key after the crime, not without several people seeing the act. This leaves but one time it could have entered your body, while you were locked inside the study. Also, do not think of blaming Mrs. Holden. Our eyewitness confirmed she had no chance to do it. Thus, the inevitable conclusion appears. It is certain you swallowed the key yourself to conceal the locked room. Well, I didn't. But I know nobody will buy that, so I guess you will. There you go. Hope you're happy.
It seems that is everything that needs to be said. Even without the key, the evidence wasn't in your favour, Miss Chase. Any other arguments?
The outcome was decidedly predestined. I rest my case. If any gods are listening, which it was predestined, I mean, in the context of this being a game, which is basically a simulation, then she's technically right. Oh, why bother? I'm in no position to ask for miracles.
It seems Miss Chase has nothing left to add either. Very well. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. This court finds the defendant, Miss Aurelia Chase.
Ooh. We have our lifeline. Bet you didn't see that one coming. You don't get to checkmate Aurelia on my watch. There you are. Shush, this is between me and Vicky right now. Do not dare to call me that ever again. Contrary to what you think, your repeated interference is entirely within my calculations. I estimated 90% likely that you would show up again at the very last second. Now make whatever meaningless point you're going to make. Yeah, right. You really think anyone's buying this just as planned chessmaster act? The moment you're in a pinch, you abruptly deduced where the key was, hidden in just one try. Ooh, that's a little hard to swallow. Pun totally intended. Could you be wearing, like, some kind of earpiece? Someone feeding her the information on what to do on the fly? Are you finished? I see no significance in your observation. In truth, I had already deduced the key had to have been hidden much earlier. I was merely wishing Aurelia would spare me the effort of voicing such an asinine course of events. Nope, that ain't it. You had no idea where that key was, and there's no way you figured that out now. So how do you suddenly know, I wonder? I'll tell you what I'm feeling. It's because somebody tipped you off. Somebody else gave you that idea. This is getting delusional, as if I would have required such assistance. I solved this case all by myself. Don't you get it? Whoever told you about that key is probably the real culprit. The real culprit. I don't have to look for her. She's standing at the bench right across from me. Come on, Victoria. You know there's more to this. Tell us who gave you the idea. They were probably subtle about it. Put your stupid pride away and do the right thing just this once. You can get all the credit. We'll sing you praises and stuff. Sounds good to me. As expected, there was nothing to be worried about. You may call yourself a queen. Just done nothing but Aurelia's pawn. All you've accomplished is to delay the inevitable by a few moves. Your choice to go down with the sinking ship tells us everything we need to know about you. Seriously should have known. But this ship ain't sinking yet. Mark my words.
Well, I'm not entirely sure what that was about, but nothing seems to have changed. Where were we?
Verdict.
Right. I suppose I'm a little surprised I still get to go forward with it despite the interruption.
Locking that one shut again. Your Honor, I want to testify.
Testify? About what exactly?
The second murder, obviously. Relevance. She couldn't have seen anything that pertains to our case. You can't know that. I swear this story is going to blow your mind.
Objection sustained. It's been made abundantly clear that the second murder has no bearing on this trial. As curious as I admittedly am, you'll have to wait.
Perhaps we shall get the opportunity to know the inevitable criminal trial. None than I would expect it to provide much of any particular insight or entertainment. You've got to be kidding. Aurelia, are you really planning to lose to freaking Victoria? You said you'd try your best. Where's your next objection? Say something. I tried countering her argument, but there's simply no opening. I really tried thinking of an explanation for the key. Trust me. And as you just saw, we don't have any justification to call more witnesses. What else am I supposed to do? There isn't anything left I can say. No, it can't end like this. Hate to say it, but we underestimated Victoria's determination. She wasn't above pulling some dirty tricks to get back at me, and I walked right into them.
This is not the place for idle chatter. I would appreciate it if you could save it for after the trial. It will be in just a minute as it happens.
Your Honor, you'll want to hear this.
Step away from the stand, Miss Maristella. One more interruption and I'll hold you in contempt. You've stalled the proceeding for long enough. This court finds the defendant is Aurelia Chase. Checkmate.
Oh, that was Victoria. Postpone that verdict for a mere minute.
What is the meaning of this? You do realize I was about to rule in your favor.
You're right, Lillian. This trial can't end in this manner. It wouldn't be proper. Aurelia needs assistance. Wait, for real? Assistance with being a total loser. Oh, okay. Wow, never thought I'd see the day. Let's go, V. We'll catch the real bad guy together. Don't misconceive what I stated. Even though she has been thoroughly proven guilty, Aurelia still insists that she was framed. Not only that, she can't help but accuse me of using what she can only perceive as unfair methods. Truly typical excuses of those who refuse to acknowledge their inferiority. It is abundantly apparent that she still has not learned the lesson I generously tried to bestow upon her. I will choose to amend this situation.
You've already proven your case, Miss Briston. There's nothing left to do.
The average chess player aims for checkmate. A state where the opponent's king can no longer avoid capture. Why would I, Victoria Briston, be satisfied with just a trivial accomplishment? Anyone can checkmate. I shall aim for the impossible and capture the I'm Capture the King.
That doesn't answer the question.
In more pedestrian terms, there is still something that's not yet been established. The motive.
Motive? It seemed pretty apparent to me, given the circumstances. The defendant was caught and ended up killing Miss Holden during the resulting altercation.
Preconceived notions of what stopped you from developing deeper understanding. Why did Aurelia decide to trespass in the first place? That question still remains unanswered.
Oh, that's quite true. We don't actually know that.
If you think you can get me to say anything more at this point, forget it. As it happens, your verbal revelations are superfluous. And actually already have the evidence to decisively establish your motive. What?
Order! Miss Preston, you already rested your case. If you had any more evidence, you should have presented it before.
Her motivations for being there did not seem relevant to the crime itself. With that in mind, I have no intention of submitting this evidence to the court record. My plan is to merely show it to Aurelia. I'm certain it will suffice. Just get this over with. What do you want to rub in my face so badly now? An obnoxious cognitive dissonance. You still think there is no way I understood anything. Otherwise you would not want to push me. Is it not decidedly proper to say that this would not be desirable to you? No, 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 no! Why? How? How do you have that? That appears to have acquired your attention. Excellent. It was on the bookshelf. First thing I discovered. Nonsense. That was the first place I looked. It wasn't there. You should read some Sigmund Freud. Then you would have immediately realised that the thickness of this did not match the page count of what it purported to be. I found it quite intriguing that only one book on that shelf was donning a false cover. My unparalleled mind swiftly guided me to the most valuable clue. I get it now. It was you. You're the one who gave me that note.
I have no idea what's happening anymore.
It was on the knife, wasn't it? It was Insane Doctor. You were talking about Sigmund Freud. Shallow Ethics Insane Doctor. We're talking about Sigmund Freud. Before this trial started, someone slipped a photo into the side room where I was kept. A photo of that... Oh. No, I don't remember. I remember that happening. The written words in the back advised me to stand trial or deal with the consequences. I kept asking myself why they hadn't just told me to plead guilty if they were going to blackmail me. But now it makes sense. That wouldn't have been enough for you. You wanted to prove a point. You had to actually beat me in this trial. What point would it be in proving my evidence superiority?
This is true, Miss Chase. You are compelled to agree to these proceedings.
It's merely her desperate next attempt to invalidate this trial. Not worth listening to. How tragic. I hope this will finally open your eyes. Ugh. I'm afraid I can't prove it now. It's pointless even if I showed the notes. She's a chronic glove wearer and would have made sure there's no way to prove she wrote it. I mustn't give her any reason to open that book. What else do you want from me? You won fair and square. There, I admitted it. At last it appears I'm starting to get through to Aurelia. The effort almost seems worthy of being labelled the 13th Herculean trial. Now she's beginning to be able to glimpse the light. I will impart some clarification. I understand that the reason I kept this book concealed was purely out of courtesy. There is a reason grandmasters handicap themselves when playing against amateurs. More importantly, I want to give you a chance to acknowledge the error of your ways without this. The contents of this book, you wanted to keep them secret. There was a motive strong enough to cause the events that resulted in this murder. I don't think there is any secret that would justify a murder, but I will respect it.
Miss Preston?
I won't open this book. Unless we confess. She's like, you have to confess, and if you confess, I won't open the book. I won't open this book, and whatever is inside, it will never be shown to anyone else. Really? there's no catch. There's one condition. I can only overlook your dark past if you can face your crimes in the present. You have to confess. Only that will demonstrate you've learned since then. If you're that determined to keep this a secret, then prove it. It's your choice. I don't know if it'll be our choice. I knew it wouldn't be that easy. You already won the trial. You totally humiliated me. Isn't that enough? What difference would this make now? For once, you're merely feigning ignorance. I illustrated the difference. Are you really not going to open the book? If you confess to a murder under oath, I will eradicate this book and never speak of it again. I swear it's in the person's name. This is a nightmare. Is there really a choice? Alright, I'll do it. There isn't a choice. I didn't get to make a choice. Your Honor, there's something I wish to do. Don't you dare confess! I don't know what's in that book, but it's not worth it. Should have known you tried to stop me. I knew she was terrible. Blackmail, unbelievable. You can't let her get away with this. I've already been proven guilty. In case you missed it, it's over. What difference does it make at this point? It makes a huge difference. I thought you'd get it now after what happened with Mr. Guard. What does that have to do with this? You want the truth, don't you? Remember when we first talked after finding Mrs. Holden's body? You claimed it was self-defense, but I could tell. You were lying. But then, how could you act like I'm not guilty? Because I knew you could never pull the trigger if you thought you're in the wrong. You always put so much faith in me. You knew from the start that you didn't kill her. You still thought it was your fault somehow and blamed yourself for it. I guess it must be related to whatever that book is about. No full stop. Your hunches are scary as usual. Don't know how much good coming clean now will do, but here goes. By now it should be obvious that someone went to lengths to set me up for this murder. I understood that early on. There are now much more telling elements. The TV trick, the key, all of it required them to know that I was planning to search the study. In short, someone was involved who knew this book and that I was looking for it. My past caught up to me in the end. So what? You're going to let them win because you feel you deserve it? That's not even the issue right now. I did all of this because I hoped I could bury that thing. I can't let it be revealed. Not every truth is worth exposing. It's best for everyone to forget about it and move on. Objection! What? You say hiding it is best for everyone, but you also feel so guilty about it. It's a contradiction. Your actions don't add up. So not mutually exclusive. It's all just a mask, a wall. I'm not even talking to the real Aurelia because of this thing. I know you know there's no way this is for the best. The real Aurelia wouldn't stand for this. She wouldn't let the bad guys get away. She's still there whenever you found a contradiction in testimony. I saw glimpses of it. I get that you're scared and worried. You'll make the right choice in the end. I know it.
Yes, Miss Chase. What is it?
The real Aurelia? I don't want to confess, personally. But I'll make a save state here. There might be another ending we can come back to. Nice try. Are you trying to delude yourself into thinking there's actually a choice? Your Honor, I wish to No. Nope, there wasn't a choice. No two endings about it. Your Honor, I wish to confess. Damn it, what's it going to take? I'll slap you again. This just isn't happening, Lily. I'm not resuming time again until you change your mind. Think about this logically. There are only two outcomes here. Outcome 1, I confess. I get declared guilty and Victoria destroys the book. Outcome 2, I don't confess. I still get declared guilty, but Victoria exposes what's in the book. You have to agree that one of those outcomes is objectively better. If there's no outcome where I don't get convicted, I might as well take the one that's less terrible. the hell is in that book? I know there's no logic to convince you, but look deep into your heart. You know this isn't the right choice. It'll just hurt more in the long run if you keep adding lies. Huh. You really will try saying anything to get me to do as you want here. Huh. You're the one unwilling to face the situation. Stop trying to trick me into picking the choice that will make only you feel better. No, I'm doing this because I care about you. You say the truth is oh so much better, but can you actually handle it? Remember that stupid article I didn't even write? Yeah. The claim to fame of the great Aurelia Chase, which was handed to her by God knows who. I never should have published that damn thing. It hurt, you know. Whenever someone praised me for this, anything else. Do you know what stung even more? I tried with the truth earlier. I tried coming clean to you about that just to see if it'd help. The truth is that I'm a lousy journalist who chased up the big scoops that never pan out. And what happened when I told you that I never even wrote that article? No scolding, no questions, you barely even reacted to that reveal. I mean, there were more important matters? Oh yeah, definitely more important to you. You don't actually care about me. What you care about is just the real Aurelia Chase. A perfect version of me you've made up in your head. You simply had to preserve the image of me no matter what. So you just ignored any evidence to the contrary. You, Sarah, even Claire, all of you think you can just keep putting me on a pedestal. Well, so sorry I can no longer live up to your expectations. I guess this is just a little too much to excuse away, huh? This imaginary Aurelia Chase of yours, that's the real lie you've been forcing me to keep up. The one who should finally face the truth is you, Lillian. Okay, I give up. All I did only made things worse. I'm sorry for being such a bad friend. I won't bother you again. My name is Aurelia Chase. This is my story. The story of how I tried to escape justice. I really tried, but it was no use. My sins ran too deep, and I had to pay the price. The end. We finished Act 3. But now we have Act Delta. Well, I'm assuming that that's not just Act Triangle, and it's the Greek letter for Delta, which in scientific terms means change. Oh boy, that was quite a way to end an episode. We absolutely made Lillian just cry, which I feel quite bad about, to be honest, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you I'm very interested to see what happens next time, but I've run out of time for recording now, so I will be able to record another video. Maybe I'll be able to get one done tonight, but you're probably going to be waiting another week now, so yeah. But thanks for watching, and we'll see what happens in Act Delta next week.